Welcome to Sport Inc.,
a podcast where we look beyond the field of play to discuss the business, politics, science and future of sports.
Each episode will have an expert guest. I'm Isabelle Westbury.
And I'm Tim Wigmore.
And together, we're your hosts. So I'm sat here now with Tim Wigmore, who writes for The Telegraph, The Economist, ESPN, and is a weekly columnist for The Eye as well.
And I'm here with Isabelle Westbury. She's a broadcaster for the BBC and Sky and writes for The Guardian and The Independent.
The idea of this podcast is looking essentially at a broader perspective of sport.
There's so much sport. There's so much sport news. It can be overwhelming. The fixtures, the quotes, the injury updates. And we're, rather than sort of telling you about any of that, we're trying to look deeper, find out what's really going on and how we got there and how sport is changing.
And like a lot of people, sport is such a huge part of our lives, and the business and politics of sport at this moment in time has never really been so important. Never before have we had states, for example, buying football clubs for soft power.
And yeah, the commercial worth of sport has gone through the roof. The value of sports gambling, the motivation to engage in match fixing, this has all escalated massively. We've even seen the essence of sport change. Last year, Ed Woodward, the vice chairman of Manchester United, he told a group of investors that playing performance doesn't really have a meaningful impact on what we can do on the commercial side of the business. Essentially, he was saying that Man United didn't even need to win to make money anymore. So is the very essence of sport being changed?
And as well as the business, we'll look into the politics, the soft power we mentioned, whether sports washing really works, whether hosting events like the Olympics is right, the impact of Brexit, the law around sport as well as the science. We'll go into doping and the measures to prevent it, the role of WADA, the psychology behind sport, all these extra things that are encroaching on the game of sport in a way that we've never seen it before.
And we'll be looking at the future of sport. So we have the baffling rise of esports, which is broadening so many, but hard to ignore, and how the change of the media landscape and broadcasters is changing the fundamentals of sport as even the formats of sport are being adapted to suit the whims of broadcasters.
So there we have it, Sport Inc., a podcast where we look at the business, politics, science and future of sport, crossed over and interlinked like never before. And we'll be launching our first podcast very shortly.
We hope you'll join us then.
Welcome to Sports Inc. Oh shit, I said sport.